What's going on, guys, and welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where every single week I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking the latest installment that aired after all this past week, featuring former Divas champion and SmackDown Women's champion, Natalya. I'm not the biggest Natalya fan in the world, but this was a very enjoyable and enlightening and interesting edition of the show, just with many pictures being showcased of Natalya's career dating back to 2008 and even beyond that. So it was cool to kind of get a career retrospective of sorts for Natalya. So the first photo we see is of Ronda Rousey, who Natalya's had a very close friendship with over the last year and a half. Natalya talked about remembering saying hi to her backstage at the initial Mae Young Classic in the summer of 2017. She told her, "Hey, I'm always up to train with you. Whenever you're down for it, just let me know and we'll train." And she talked about how they clicked from the second they locked up, and she also recalled their recent Raw one-on-one match for the Raw Women's Championship. And she talked about how Ronda helped Natalya grow during a difficult period in her life. That was when her father passed away a few months ago, about 6 months ago. And she talked about how that match was an unforgettable moment for her to wrestle Ronda Rousey on Raw for the title. The next picture we see is of Natalya making her debut on SmackDown back in April of 2008, if you can believe that. She attacked Michelle McCool. She talked about how she was excited to be part of the SmackDown brand back then, but was nervous simultaneously. We see a picture of Grumpy Cat, which was that internet meme many years ago. I don't know if the cat's still alive or if it's still relevant. I have no idea. But she talks about how Grumpy Cat is one of the most famous cats in the entire world. And I hosted Raw one night, which I vaguely remember, like in 2011, when they had pretty much anyone host Raw from week to week. And she talked about how everybody was excited to meet him, including herself. But she didn't tell Tupac. She didn't tell her own cat that she was meeting Grumpy Cat because she's a big cat fan and didn't want to upset Tupac. We see a picture of Nikolai Volkov, and she talked about how he was always so sweet to everyone backstage, and everyone loved it when he was backstage, and he always gave great health tips and diet tips. She also adds that he used to babysit Natalya and her sisters back in the day, so a bit of a fun fact that she shares here. We see a picture of Natalya with the Great Khali and Hornswoggle when they were doing that on and off comedy alliance tag team thing back in like 2011, 2012. She said it was a lot of fun, certainly an odd pairing, and that something crazy would always happen during the pre-tapes, during the backstage stuff that they would do with like the Colognes and people like that, or 3MB or whatever. And she said that, she told Khali one time before they were supposed to do a dance-off with Fandango and Summer Rae, she told Khali, like, "Hey, I can't dance, so I'm trying not to embarrass myself." And Khali said, "Hey, listen, I'll help get you through it." And she loved working with him, and she said that he was one of her favorite people to be around. We see a picture of the Hart Foundation making their entrance at the In Your House Canadian Stampede pay-per-view back in, I think, 1997. One of the greatest pay-per-view main events and one of the greatest pay-per-views, period, in WWE history. She said being there was so special. The whole family was there. The entrance of the Hart Foundation was electric, which, if you watch it back, it certainly is. She mentioned how Stone Cold had a certain connection with the Hart family and that he respected Stu Hart. And it was actually the last time that every member of the family was in the ring at the same time. And she said that she never forgot how special that was to be with everyone all at the same time in that moment. We see a picture of her wrestling in Stampede Wrestling long before she joined WWE. Her uncles actually ran the promotion back then, it had been passed down to them from Stu Hart. And she used to do the German suplexes as an ode to Owen Hart, who used to do it during his time as well in the ring. And she said that was a special time in her career. Next picture we see is of Natalya winning the Divas Championship back in late 2010. She recalled how it was the first title that she had won in WWE. She felt that it was important to show that she still had it in 2017 during her second title run. And she talked about how you can never give up, and both title reigns are special for different reasons. We see a picture of her at a Be a Star rally. That Hornswoggle was there with her, and she wants to use that to reach people, to kind of help teach kids the importance of being nice to each other. We see a picture of her and Beth Phoenix from, I think, the Hall of Fame ceremony, if I'm not mistaken. She said that Beth is the one woman she looks up to more than anyone else, that she's a role model, that Beth was there for her through thick and thin, and that they're best friends. They keep in touch even now, and that even now that she's a mom, and that she is very inspiring to her. And of course, this was filmed before they reunited recently at the Fastlane pay-per-view, and recently on Raw as well. And they're probably going to be going for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles at WrestleMania, so that's pretty cool. We see a picture of her doing the Pinup Strong submission during her days as a member of the Divas of Doom era back in 2011-2012. She said Kyoko Inoi, I forgot how you pronounce her name, but a Japanese women's wrestler actually did the move, and that's where she took it from. Because she had wrestled with her in Japan, that's who she had adopted the move from, so that's kind of cool. She said that it was fun to do that type of stuff with Beth during their time together, and that it's one of her favorite submissions to do. We see a picture of her husband, TJ Wilson, aka Tyson Kidd, and she talked about how he hates suits, but she loves having him at work and that he's the most loyal person that she's ever met. He's an incredible friend and an amazing human being. We see a picture of the Hart Dynasty from back in the day, like 10 years ago, which is crazy to think it's been that long, but I remember when this team first formed about a decade ago, and it's crazy to think it's been 10 years and that I'm 10 years older. But yeah, we see a picture of the Hart Dynasty. She said that she loved her time with them, that it was her most special time in WWE, and she loves seeing, Tyson Kidd and David Hart Smith, D.H. Smith, whatever they were calling him back then, shine in the ring. And she really got the chance to talk during that time period and doing promos for Tyson Kidd, doing promos for D.H. Smith. They worked great together, and they were able to room together on a few different occasions too. And she admits that it was likely because Smith was a bit cheap and he didn't want to pay for his own room, so that's probably why that happened. We see a picture of WrestleMania 26 during the entrances for the Hart family during the Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon No Holds Barred match. She had said that, they all walked out with Vince before they turned on him before the match, and she was very excited to be a part of that match. The entire family was, and seeing the whole family there together again was great. We see a picture of the Calgary Sun, where she writes a column to every single week, usually about something wrestling related. She loves writing, she admits. We see a picture of Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. She said that she loved this team and that Cesaro helped make them even better, because Cesaro makes anyone better that he works with. We see a picture of her and Eve Torres, and I'm like, what's the significance of this? And then Natalya explains that it was back when she had that farting gimmick, that horrid, fucking atrocious farting gimmick. And she said that she doesn't get asked about it too much anymore, but she said that she tried to make those pre-tapes work. It didn't feel like her, and that she loves wrestling, and that she doesn't have toilet humor either. So she likes to pretend that it never happened and that she's happy that it's over with. But yeah, I remember that gimmick and how terrible it was. Such a waste of Natalya, coming off the immediate aftermath of the Divas of Doom stuff. So they went from that to doing the fucking farting gimmick, which was atrocious. We see her facing Charlotte Flair at NXT TakeOver back in May of 2014. She said that she loved wrestling her, that this was her WrestleMania moment, and that they put on a masterpiece of a match, and Triple H actually gave them the platform to do that. She credited Triple H for giving them the platform to have such a match, and that people still talk about that match to this very day. We see a picture of the original Total Divas cast from the summer of 2013. She got the call to do the show, and she said it was a very unique combination of women to put on one reality show. She said it was a special time for her, and they didn't know if the show would work or not, but it brought a lot of incredible experiences. Moments are magic and last forever. And as far as I know, I think Natalya's still on the show. I know I've been watching the show since the get-go. I don't think I've ever missed an episode, to be honest with you. I think Natalya is still part of the show to this day, unless they have an upcoming season and she's not on it. I think Natalya is like one of these sole cast members that has lasted the entire 7 or 8 seasons, which is pretty amazing. And that includes the Bellas, because the Bellas, I think, are leaving after the last season to focus on their own stuff, which is pretty interesting. Anyway, we see a picture of all the women right before the Women's Royal Rumble match, before the 2018 Women's Rumble match, I should specify. I think it was before. I'm pretty sure it was the night before the pay-per-view, and that was when they were all rehearsing the match, and not after the match. She said all 30 men, or rather all 30 women, for the first time. It was the first time that she had seen all 30 women in one match rallying behind one another, and it's something that she will never forget. She loved every minute of it, and she was able to share moments with Trish Stratus and Beth Phoenix, and that it showed that the women have come a long way and will continue to grow going forward. And of course, the last picture that they show here, which is a very fitting note to end on, a picture of her father, the late, great Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and she said that it's crazy to think that she'll never see him again after he had passed back in August of 2018. She always told him how much she cared about him. She always spent a lot of time with her, with both her dad and her mom. And her mom's still alive, for those wondering. She had a lot of fun with them. They had a very special connection. And she said that her dad worked hard to make everything work. Even back in the days where he was wrestling and that he wasn't home, he made everything work to the best of his ability. And she's grateful to currently have an extra angel in heaven in the form of her father watching over her. And she likes to think that she doesn't have to say goodbye to him and that he's going to be in her heart forever. So I thought that was a great note to end on here for this edition of WWE Photo Shoot with Natalya. So be sure to check it out on the WWE Network under the Originals and Specials category on the network. So that being said, guys, thank you for checking out this edition of WWE Network and Chill. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content throughout the week. I appreciate it. And with all that being said, guys, enjoy the rest of your week, weekend, whatever it might be. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.